another time with the enthusiastic tutor. Okay, we are live again. It's good to have us. It's good to have you here in the live session. Enthusiastic tutor. Okay, quickly send the link to the group. Okay, yeah. So the link has been sent to the class. So we are hopeful that she will join us soon. It's it's a great day. It has been a great day today. Yeah, in Nigeria today, the in thing now is the forthcoming presidential election, and a lot of stories are going around. A lot of things are being said while we wait for others to join. So welcome to today's class and time with the enthusiastic tutor. Oh, awesome! We have somebody with us now. If you can hear me loud and clear, please introduce yourself in the chat, in the comments section, while we wait for others. So yesterday we spoke about a lot of things. We spoke about the goals, objectives of psychology, while we wait for others. So let's just talk about what we did yesterday. So we had method of psychology. We discussed the method of psychology yesterday. Um, we also said method of psychology. Okay, Mr. Jacob. Oh, thank you for joining us. Mr. Jacob is joining us today. Okay, we are actually still waiting for others to join. I've sent the link to the group. So okay, let me check quickly if it was delivered to the group. It has been sent to the group. So we just continue while we wait for them. We spoke about naturalistic yesterday. Where we said in this method of psychology, method of observation, method of psychology, the psychologist does not interfere in the observation. The psychologist does not interfere at all, because if the psychologist interferes, it will alter the research and the process of observation. So that was a naturalistic, and we said the thing about naturalistic is that the subjects are being observed in their natural environment. So that was what we treated yesterday. We treated the method of psychology, which I just spoke about the naturalistic. We said also something about the case study too as well, where we said Sigmund Freud. It was discovered from the case study method that Sigmund Freud is an Australian psychologist. Yeah, but eventually you come across that question. That is an Australian psychologist. You should know that is Sigmund Freud. They are referring to Sigmund Freud. So we spoke about case study, and case study has to do with the study of people who has a mental disorder, or psychological disorder. So we spoke about that yesterday too, and we also spoke about survey. Okay, Mr. Daniel is with us. Mr. Daniel, you are welcome. It's great to have you. It's great to have you all in tonight's class. Tonight's class will not be taking too much time, because I returned from work not long ago, and it's actually a very stressful day. The thing about the election is tomorrow. Everybody's just trying to play safe. So we'll not be taking much of our time today. So we spoke about surveys. Well, when we said the use of surveys, we employ the use of questionnaire to make inquiries. That's actually what survey is all about. It's giving out entries to people to attend to questions, specific questions actually. The survey is actually targeted at specific people, and the questionnaires are actually structured for a particular purpose. Oh, we have three now on the live session. Awesome. I know of Mr. Daniel and Mr. Joseph. Please, who is the third person who just joined us? So, what we spoke about survey yesterday, we spoke about case study, we spoke about we spoke about naturalistic observation. All these ones are the method of psychology, and we also spoke about correlation studies. When we use the word correlation, it has to do with making comparisons and the like. When you try and from the word correlate, experimentations too. We spoke about experimentation. So we spoke about the use of we said something about tests. We said something about questionnaire where we said questionnaire, we have the structured and the unstructured questionnaire. All these things I'm saying, they are still under the method of psychology. When we say the structured questionnaire is actually, it doesn't give the respondent, and who are the respondents? The respondents are the people you give the questionnaire to attend to the questions. Now, when we talk about structured questionnaire, now it doesn't really give the respondents the freedom of act, the freedom of expressing their feeling, because the questions in the structured questionnaire are specific and direct. It's either you take it or you leave it. Say no or yes response. But on the in the unstructured questionnaire, the freedom for them to say what they think or what they feel is given to them, and that concluded yesterday's class. So today, without wasting much of our time, because we're not actually going to spend much time tonight, it's been a stressful day today at work. So and I believe a lot of us too went to work today. So and it's already late at night. So we just have to rush through some things tonight. So tonight we're talking about the concept of learning. So tomorrow class will be very loaded, because I by tomorrow I want us to finish the whole of module one. So we have to be very prepared for tomorrow's class. And please, I really appreciate the fact that we are actually turning up for our assignments, but we need to do better. The reason why I give assignment at the end of every class is because I know that it is not easy to study alone. Like, self-discipline yourself to studying is not easy. It is an African man said, put it in the book. So he said, put it in the book, because most of us and most Africans, we don't actually, it's not actually easy to study on your own. So this is why I give assignment most times, is because I want you to not just end the discussion after the class. I want the studying to still continue even after the class. So now today, and I have few of us that submitted our assignment. You guys are doing a great job. So today now we are speaking about the concept of learning. Now, to a layman, learning is easy. But believe me, learning is not as easy as it seems. In fact, learning is the most difficult thing to achieve as you see a process through and understand and comprehend it is actually very difficult. Learning is very difficult actually, but to a layman just see learning. Okay, Violent has joined us. Violet George, you are welcome. Mr. Iburu, I'm not sure you are with us already, and that's a very unusual of you. You are always very punctual. I don't know why you're not here already. Mr. Peter, Mr. Daniel, Mr. Mr. Jolas, please. Yeah. So now, as I was saying, learning is actually not easy, but to a layman, learning is actually what they are being taught or what they don't know before and they now know. Believe me, learning is deeper than that, and we are going to discuss a lot about it tonight. So now, somebody said in 1968, somebody opined, I think we can get our biro and jot our research as we take down these points. To a layman, learning means getting to know something he doesn't know. You can just put to a layman, that's the first paragraph now. After you have written your subtopic, learning, then your first paragraph now, learning, then you put your semicolon, learning to a layman means, are we there? To a layman, it means getting to know something he doesn't know. That's what learning means to a layman. But now, another paragraph now. Somebody now opined in 1968. He says, we learn what we are taught, if often the attitude of non-professional persons. Now, to a non-professional person, just like a layman, as I said earlier on, to a layman, Oxidine, 1968 said, to a layman, he learns what is taught often. What is being taught often to a layman is what is learned, is what he learns. I don't know. Okay, let me restructure that now. We learn what we are taught, if often the attitude of non-professional person, meaning that to a non-professional person, learning is what he doesn't know before that he now knows. Now let me explain to you why learning is basically more than that. Now another person now said, that's Alsana in 2000. Alsana now said, now states that although there is little disagreement among psychologists, okay, learning preservations and learning from activity, okay, it's marked different between, okay, now I said there are a lot of differences between psychologists. Let's not forget, psychologists are scientists. There are a lot of variances between them and a layman when it comes to learning. Why? Because psychologists do not just see things superficially, they see things from the origin, they look deeper. So now let's just go straight into it. Now, let's not forget we said something about, please, if you are joining us, please do well to introduce yourself so we can know who is who. I've still not gotten any message from Mr. Peter, Mr. Daniel, Mr. Jolas. I've still not gotten any message from you guys tonight. I hope you guys will be joining us soon. So now, the point is that Kohler, that's Kohler, Kohler in 1925 said in his book, and this book is called Mentality. Okay, said in his book, The Mentality of Apes. Okay, let me just keep that on silent. Just a moment, please. Keep that on silent. Okay, so we don't get distracted in the class. So now, Kohler, that's Kohler in 1925, said in his book, The Mentality of Apes, explained. Now, the book now is called Mentality of Apes. That's in his book, in Kohler's book in 1925. He said learning as a perpetual process, with the major emphasis being on the study of relationships and how people learn to see relationship among various items of experience. Now, take down the keyword perpetual process, consistency. Believe me, if there is no consistency in learning, you can't get that insight. Apologies to our Muslim brothers, but I want to use analogy gotten from the Word of God, which is the Bible, that the letter, like the Word of God, when you read just the letter, you don't get there are hidden treasures in the Word of God. So when you read just the letter for reading sake, the revelation hidden in the Word will not be revealed to you. That is one thing about learning. If there is no consistency, if there is no perpetual process attached to it, then learning is void. I don't know if we get that. Now, let me take that again. From what Kohler said in 1925, learning in 1925 in his book Mentality of Apes. Now, I think then, basically we are Homo sapiens, so the mentality then was human, originated from apes. So he said in his book then that learning as a perpetual process, he sees learning as a perpetual process. You understand? With the major emphasis being laid on the study of relationship and how people learn to see relationships among various items and of experience. Now, apart from that perpetual process, now it now deals with relationship between items. It now boils down to that thing you are trying to learn. What relationship have you established with it? How has it affected you? because you can't just learn without being perturbed. You can't just learn because you want to learn. You learn because you want something to be a part and parcel of you. Exactly. You learn because you want something to be a part and parcel of you. So I believe that is well understood about what Collar said. And the key point about what Collar said in his book, Mentality of Apes, that learning is a process whereby we imply perpetual process with the major emphasis. Is a perpetual process where we lay major emphasis on study of relationships. Now, I believe we've gotten that clearly. Now, learning of relationships can clearly be seen in phenomenal insights. Now, that's one thing I said about when there is consistency, then the revelation is being revealed to you. When you are learning, you need to get that insight. For example, now when we are this course we are taking psychology, you must have gotten the insight from our first class we have started till now. You must have gotten this insight about the overview of this course. The overview of this course is that it is a science course, and anything science has to do with systematic process, systematic learning and observation of things. And this course is structured and basically focusing on the behavior of humans, the study and behavior of humans in their environment. And the behavior is basically studying the behavior of how humans behave, how they reason, how they respond to their environment. So that's it. So in every learning process, there has to be an insight. Thomas, why do you think Thomas Edison failed more over 1,000 times before he now eventually broke through? He had an insight. If you don't get that insight, and that insight does not just come like that, there has to be what we call perpetual process. There has to be what we call consistency. Are you now seeing that to a layman now, all these things do not really matter to him? It only takes somebody who has that insight, who can focus continuously and maintain this perpetual process. Okay, now I think we have that for Colin in 1925. So we have the next one now. Somebody also said something about learning. Okay, now still on Colin, I said he found that apes, when confronted with a different problem, might act as if they were surveying the situation and would then go directly to the goal objective. Okay, but okay, now that's it's just still all about what we have said earlier on. So then go to Aristotle. Now we said something about Collar. Collar in 1925. Now the next person that are studying his definition of learning now is Aristotle. Now Aristotle talked of learning as a association of ideas. Let's take that down. Now on that learning still, but the second paragraph now. When the first one was all about Collar. Now this second one now is talking about who? Aristotle. Okay, I think tonight we are not so active on our comments section. If you can hear me clearly, if I'm not too fast, and if you understand what I'm saying, please do well to let me know in the comment section. And if you are just joining us and if you have not introduced yourself, also do well to do that so that we can know we are all moving at the same pace. So now the second. Okay, Mr. Daniel, great. It's great to have you. Said I'm with you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, continue. Oh, thank you, Mr. Daniel. So Aristotle talked of learning. Okay, awesome. Aristotle talked of learning as a association of ideas. Now, this is Aristotle defining learning. Association of ideas. The laws of similarities, construct, and continuity. Now, are you not surprised the choice of all these words? Okay, Miss Blessing said, okay, you are with us. Awesome, awesome. It's great to have you join us tonight. So now, are you not surprised why the combination of choice of this word? Now, the words are similarities. We said something about relationship of items, studying of relationship of items. Construct. Construct now is when you are now trying to make reasonable comparison, and continuity. Now, can you now notice that in learning, the word continuity cannot be taken out. You see, that's why you say, actually, I'm a blogger. You understand? And from my experience as a blogger, from what my mentor teaches me, because I write, like I work on one of my side gig online is I write for international on international marketplaces. And one thing about blogging is that it's a school that you can never graduate from. And that's one thing about learning as well. Learning is not just knowing what you did not know before. You can know something today and tomorrow you will forget it. And that's why they say something about when you leave something, something leaves you. You cannot remove continuity, perpetual process from learning. It's very important. Now, the choice of this word by Aristotle, he said learning as an association of idea. He sees it as an association, the coming together of ideas, the laws of now the coming together of this idea, there is a law guiding them. These ideas cannot come together, they cannot make a whole, they can never be holistic without this law. And what are these law? Similarities, contrast, and continuity. Similarities between what? Contrast between what? And when there's a similarity, when there's a contrast, you don't just drop it, it has to continue. You have to keep on learning. So the keyword in this definition is learning. So when you see the definition of Dash defined learning as association of ideas following the laws of similarities, contrast, and continuity, then you know who that is. That is Aristotle. I believe that is well understood. So with that being said, let's just move on. So he believes that people learn and remember those things they that are alike. Now, do not get where he said the word similarities from. Like, that's why sometimes when I'm making examples, I try to bring it down to using something in our own area, something in our own circle. And when you make similarities between something you are familiar with, it helps you to remember quickly. Okay, Miss Joseph is just joining us. You came a bit late after this evening, but it's still good to have you. We've not gone so far. So we are talking about learning, and we've looked into we've discussed how a layman sees learning, and we've also said that there are a lot of variances, disagreement between the way psychologists sees learning and between the way a layman sees learning. And we've spoken about Koller in 1925. How his book The Mentality of Ape spoke about how learning should be perceived. And he said something about learning. He said he used the keyword perpetual process and relationship between items. That those are the words of Koller in 1925. And now we are speaking about Aristotle. Aristotle is also talking about almost the same thing Koller is also saying, just that the choice of words are different. Aristotle said his own is an association of idea guided by a law, and these laws are called similarities. You understand? We have similarities, we have contrasts, and we have continuity. And let's not forget, Koller also said something about perpetual process. So, I mean, similarity, perpetual process, and continuity. I mean, what are the difference? Still on the same goal. So we have that as stats. So he said, he believed that people learn and remember those things that are alike, that are striking because of their difference, and that occur together in space and time. Okay, I think that is for Murphy. Okay, that's not actually. Oh, Mr. Iroros, you are just joining us. You came in tonight, too. You came in late tonight. What is the issue, Mr. Jolas? You came in late tonight, and you're always the first person that always join the class. Nevertheless, let's not divert too much. So we've spoken about a lot of. You can always get the recap after the class. So now, Murphy actually, Aristotle said that it's an association of ideas, learning as an association of ideas, and following the laws of similarities, contrast, and continuity. Now, Murphy now said, people learn and remember those things that are alike. You can imagine, even I'm in my late 20s now, I'm almost getting to my 30s. And I can still remember some very striking things that occurred to me when I was a child. I remember when I was young. Then I remember this um, civil fight that happened between Yoruba and Hausas then in Lagos, and it was I was the first coming but couldn't chat up. Okay, before. Okay, sorry, maybe that's the network. Okay, so you can imagine some striking things. We tend to learn sometimes when we are learning. There are some striking things that happens, and we really don't forget what we have learned that particular time. So, okay, Mr. We have book Lexkey. Okay, now another paragraph, please. This is Bukleski talking here. Bukleski in let's not forget Aristotle said it's a combination of ideas. Murphy said we learn by similarities and things that are striking. Now, Bukleski now is now saying that on his own part sees learning as a process of the formation of relatively permanent neural. Yes, Miss Blessing. Public administration does this course too. The course is psychology, introduction to psychology. Yeah, it's a course public administration student too. Student of public administration take. Yes, they take the course. The course is actually introduction to psychology, and we are in module one. I think yeah, module one, but I'm not sure the unit we are in now. But this is page 38. If you have with your material, you can follow suit. It's actually on page 38, module one. The topic is learning. We are on learning now. So Bukla, okay, where I was somewhere before. Okay, where was I? Okay, now we said Bukleski. Now Bukleski in 1956 says learning sees learning as a process of formulation of relatively permanent neural circuits through the stimulation of activities of elements of the okay of the circuit to be. Now let me simplify this. Now what this man is saying here, because it's big grammar, is that learning is a process of formulation of relatively permanent neurons. Neurons are activity that goes on in the system. And those circuits are like they move at the speed of lightning. Perceptions, the way the brain communicates with the sensory part of the body, you know, is more of the activity of the brain, the conception, the perception and perspectives of the way we see things. So the messages that goes on through the veins, through the sensory system, how the brain sends message, how the body reacts to the message, all these neurons and activities is what this man is talking about. And he's saying it's a formulation of all these relatively permanent. That's why we say learning is continuous. You can't, it's not something you learn today and you forget, you say you want to stop tomorrow. It's a lifetime thing. So those are the keywords of Bugleski in 1956. So with that, let's just move on. So we have Lindgren. Lindgren is spelled Lindgren. Gren. Lindgren, 1961. He said something about learning is a central process in understanding human behavior. And this is a bit precise as the definition of Lindgren. Are we together? That's the definition of Lindgren in 1961. Please let's take down the names of all the psychologists with the dates. It's very important. Their names and the dates. Let's do it to take them down. They are very important. When by the time we are almost done with this material and we are done with the TMAs, towards the end, towards close to the time whereby exam will be starting, we'll start to treat past questions. By then we are done with our material, we are done with our TMA, and we'll start to take treat past questions, and then we'll begin to understand very well and see how these questions are being set. You understand? So that is that for that. Lindgren in 1961 said learning is the central process of understanding. is the key word here now is understanding. You cannot underestimate the effect of understanding. If you are learning something and you are not understanding it, there's no point learning it. Now, the understanding of what there has to be an understanding, and it's targeted at human behavior. Now we have most aspects of human behavior. The writer argues the learned country, contrary to the widely held view of turn. Okay, century. No, those are not necessarily interest. They are not necessary. So, but the point here, what Lindgren is saying in 1961, what he opined is that learning is a central process in understanding human behavior. So we are good to go. So Alsana in 1985, Alsana opines that learning is the totality of acquisition of factual information. Now, acquisition of factual information. Alsana in 1985, this is what Alsana is opining, that learning is the totality of acquisition of factual information, the mastering of skills, and means of aiding further studying. I think I prefer this definition. You know, layman, they just learn something, what they don't know, and they don't like what they don't know before, and they now newly know, and they stop there. But now, can you imagine this definition? Okay, we have about six of us now on this live section. Please do well to smash the like button if you are here to smash the like button. And if you are just joining us, do well also to use the comment section and tell us your name so we can all know we're on the same page. So now this is Alsana saying something. Alsana said that learning is the totality of the acquisition. Acquisition in the sense that when you from the word acquire, when you gather, acquisition of factual from the word fact, factual information, factual data. Now, the mastering, those are the keywords: acquisition of factual information, the mastering of skills, and the means of aiding further study. You don't just acquire, you don't just master, you tend to know more. And that's how you get better. The moment you feel you are comfortable with what you know, that's from that day henceforth you begin to degrade. But if you feel you still need to know more, if you feel you have not known enough, that is when you keep growing. You will keep growing. But the moment you feel, oh, what I know is enough, what I know is, you see, in those days, I think when we get to which course is it again, right? Is it sociology? I'm trying to remember that course. Then, in that time of Aristotle, I'm trying to remember the course we did in either 100 level or 200 level, where we actually discovered that science started from Africa. All these things they are doing in the air, all these things whites are doing abroad, but the Asian scientists is from Africa. And then one person can be scientist in like 5 different fields, and which is very true. Now, a research has proven that majority of the population of people on Earth, they have only used 1.5% of the capacity of their brain. You can imagine 1.5% of what the brain is capable of doing. One person can be like in those ancient days, maybe in the times before Christ, maybe Anno Domini, those time Anno Domini 1000 BC. You understand? One person can be a scientist of biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics. One person. You understand? So you can't just stop learning. It's just quite unfortunate that these days we don't have people like that again. We have them, but they are very few. They are not multiplying. Understand? So according to what Hasana has said, Hasana is actually very on point. You know, Hasana said totality of acquisition of factual information, the mastering of skills, and means of aiding further study. Keep understanding. Sorry to quickly use this biblical word again. When as a Christian now, you are not just saved once. Like when you are being saved, you don't just remain like that. You can be saved today and you fall again tomorrow. You have to continue to renew. That's what the Bible says. The renewal of your mind continuously. Once saved is not forever saved. I'm just trying to draw an analogy from the word of God. Once saved is not forever saved. Just like learning. Because you have learned this thing doesn't mean you now dwell on that thing you have learned that you don't want to learn more. According to what Asana is saying, Asana says after you have acquired factual information and you have mastered the skill, a lot of people come online and they say, I'm not making money online, I've been online for quite a while, I'm not making money, this and that. What do you know? How do you want to make the money? What do you know? Rate yourself now in the world. You're a graphic designer in the world now. Rate yourself. What position are you? You have to acquire factual information, master the skill, and aid to improve upon what you have gathered, aid to improve upon what you have acquired. You understand? Further understanding, mastering. Now, acquisition of behavior patterns, the style of tackling problem of everyday life, and more. So this definition Alsana gives is actually very comprehensive. So the keywords are, let's take down the keywords of this definition. Alsana opines that, learning is the totality of acquiring factual information, mastering of skills, and aiding further mastering of skills for better understanding. Mastering of skills for better understanding. Okay, let me think. Mastering of skill for better understanding and the implementation of the acquired skill in solving day-to-day problem. I believe that is well understood. If we are together, please say something in the comment section. If what I've been saying has been, if I'm not speaking above our head, if we are on the same page. So I really want to know if we are on the same page on this. If I had not said something I'm not comfortable with, or something you feel you don't understand, please do well to let me know in the comment section. So now, after we are done with Asana's definition, so we are moving down to GAN. That's GAN. That's GANE. That's GAN. Are we there? I'm not seeing anything in the comment section. Mr. Joseph, Mr. Okay. On the keyword, okay. She has to come again on the keyword. Is it just Miss Blessing? What about Mr. Joseph? I'm not sure Mr. Peter is with us. Mr. Daniel, Mr. Joseph, Mr. Jolas. Are we all there? It's Violet. Violet, yeah. Violet, not Violet. Sorry, let me not spoil over his name. So on the keyword of Alsana's definition, now Alsana opines that learning, now the keywords are totality of acquiring factual information. The totality of acquiring factual information, aiming at mastering skills. Aiming at mastering skills for further studying in order to implement it in our day-to-day life. Now, the keyword is the totality of acquiring factual information, aiming at mastering skills and understanding. I think the words are just coming too much, but the bottom line is just that we have factual skills and we have you. After you have gathered these factual skills, you have to aim at mastering it. It's a skill. Master the skill. After you've gathered the factual information, then you master the skill for further understanding. After you have gathered information, you have mastered the skill, then you now implement it to solve daily problems. Because no matter how much you are this intelligent, no matter how much you are this upstairs, intelligent upstairs, if you cannot convert it by, and definitely if you can help people solve their problem, there is a you are giving value, and money attracts value attracts money. You understand this process of learning we are talking about? Being in school today, being in national poverty, you're actually learning. And by the time you are done with your program, you cannot be that same person you were before you started your program. Now you have gathered factual information about your discipline as a student of public admin or a student of business admin. You must, by the end of your program, after 4 years, you must have gathered enough knowledge about that discipline. You've gathered factual information. You can now become a, let me not say a master, because being a degree holder is not the same thing as being a master's holder. But at least in that field, you can talk and somebody will say, yes, this person is talking. That is if you've actually done the needful by gathering the factual information and you have mastered the skill of that field for better understanding, then you can now implement, then you can now even, people can even employ you and pay you well, because now they know that they are employing capable hands, and that's what everybody wants, to employ capable hand. So Mrs. Blessing, I hope I've answered your question. So let's just move on. So we have Gan, his definition. Gan in 1970 said learning seems to have a wide appeal when he writes that a learning event take place when stimulus situations affect the learner in such a way that he or she performs changes from a time before being in the situation of a time after being in it. Okay, the change in performance is what leads to the conclusion of learning. Okay, this is just more of what this guy said about neurons. There are some things that happens. So there are some occurrences that we can never forget in our life. They just happened. Like you always remember them. Mr. Joseph, okay, so I get you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Joseph. So so according to what he's saying, according to what Gang is saying, I said there are some tap the like. Okay, okay, Mr. Eruros. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Eruros said tap the like, please. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Eruros. Mr. Jolas. So that's what Gang is just saying. Gang said attempt to it, yeah, Gang said it has to do with when some things happen to us in a certain time, stimulus situation, stimulus, something that arouses it, that led to the reaction of something. Stimulus to the situation affects the learner. Some there are some things that happen to us that we can't just forget. That's what Gang is just talking about. So, in spite of the above discussion, note that learning may not be easy or defined adequately. This may be so because we cannot see it directly. But when we observe a child's behavior, we can conclude that some kind of learning has occurred. Let us give an example. Okay, let's not go into all that. Let's not go into all that. Let's not go into all that. Okay, now let's take the definition of one more person again, and that's Mukherjee in 1478. So learning may be held to be an influence from some performance of organism manifestation, a change of behavior, vening for light on. Okay, I think the definitions are just too much. Okay, now Mark Augie, that's 1478, says it's an inference from inference meaning a progenitor, like an effect from something in line of a performance. Now I said an inference from some performance of organism manifesting change and behavior. Now, inference in the sense that the performance of this change or the performance of this learning procedure in a system, in a body, is as a result of the organism manifesting from that body. So we have okay, we have this also. Said it implies that the value of learning is determined primarily by the society. People learn what the social learning environment permits them to learn by ways of subjects offered, quality of teacher, quality of curriculum, quality. Okay, I think all those are not really necessary. Okay, so we have complete learning is okay. I think these are exercise self-assessment. We have complete the following psychological statements in the space provided. Learning is dash change in the dash, and it's a C process. Okay, I think these are from the definitions of. We didn't really take all the definitions. We just selected some few. So I think these are all from definitions we have taken. So before we call it a day, because I don't want us to take a lot of I don't want us to take a lot of time. It's late at night, and we'll see how some people go to work as early as possible. Although in Nigeria, no work tomorrow. There's a shutdown tomorrow, no movement tomorrow because of the election. But we have some people here that are not staying in Nigeria and they have to go to work. So I think I think it's is it 12 o'clock already? Okay, it's almost 12. So now, just before we call it a day, we'll just take maturation and learning. Maturation and learning. Now, maturation as a scientific and psychological concept, wow, designates that period of development during which a germ cell, that's germ cell, small, a developing cell, becomes mature. I don't know if you get that. Very straight and very precise and straightforward. It says maturity as a scientific and psychological concept. The concept of maturation and learning is both scientific and psychological. And it it the concept is the concept designates the concept points at the concept speaks for the concept advocates for the development, speaks about the development during a germ cell. A germ cell means a developing cell, a cell that is just developing. A germ cell becomes mature. Now, it's talking about the process between the small germ cell, the process between when it's small and when it has mature. So it's both a scientific and a psychological process. Maturity, maturation, and learning. Maturation is just from the word maturity. So we have that as that. Now, it is a process of ripening and of moving towards the fuller unfolding of potentials of the organism. You see, things like this, when I come across something like this, I don't really spend so much time on it because it's actually straightforward. It's actually straightforward. You don't have to go too much of detail into it because it's just maturation. So anything that come across maturation, you know what it is. It is a scientific and a psychological process that has to do with the process of a developing cell to when it has been developed. So to just further buttress what we have said, he said maturation denotes both a change in physical equipment and a physical equipment of the organism, but more importantly, it is a change in the function and the capacity to perform through the use of this equipment. Definitely, you know, a germ cell definitely will grow, just like let's use the analogy of a 1 year old child. A 1 year old child cannot walk, cannot talk, but when the child eventually grows, you understand, maybe 3 to 4 years, they begin to walk, they begin to talk. Definitely, the difference are clear, and the capacity definitely are very clear too. Capacity changes definitely as it grows. It gets better capacity and new things are being developed. Now, let us cite an example. When the muscles of a child's legs grow, they can be noticed, but it's only when maturation takes place that the baby, just like what I said, I've not even read this, but what I said, You know, when a child is growing, there are some things that they cannot do. Even though you can see that they have mouth, they can't talk. Even though you see that they have leg, they can't walk because they have not gotten to that maturation stage. So it's a process, a developing process. Just like in Nigeria, many of us that work in marketplaces online, to be a Nigerian is not easy, and you're working in international marketplaces. When you have people from the US, people from the Canada, you understand, it's not easy because I don't know whether I would call it racism or maybe there's a tag, they've tagged Nigerians. The moment they hear that you're from Nigeria like this, they just believe you are bad people. Just believe that you can do and undo. They just want to. It takes very few, even for them to watch your content, even for them to even give you a job. It takes you need a lot of convincing. If a man from Canada is even less, in some cases, is even less skilled than a man from Nigeria, because that guy is a white guy and he sees this other guy that is a white guy, he will want to first listen to the guy that is white before he can even give you a listing here. So what am I saying? You know, in accordance to what we are saying here, he said. So just like what I'm saying, so that's just what it is. You have to do more. So say example of, okay, we're talking about the maturation plays and baby walks. Okay, so in spite of the growth of the leg, baby cannot stand or walk. The maturation of the germ can cells muscle cannot take place. Now it is important for you to remember that psychologists have run experiments and discovered that in spite of training, some babies are okay. I think we are all those ones are not really necessary. Now, the concept of maturation has some direct relationship with learning. Definitely, that is very true. The concept of maturation has direct relationship with learning. You cannot compare what you know now, or even though you have even stopped going to school or anything, but you still can't compare what you know now as an adult to what you know then as a 5-year-old boy. Definitely, because maturation has direct influence, direct impact on learning. Okay, yes, Mr. Erurus, I really, Mr. Jolas, I really don't know what exactly you said yes to, but you can just to be a bit precise, you can just add some points a bit to it so that we can know what exactly you said yes to. So as I was saying, definitely maturation has direct impact. You know, me as a writer, there are some of my work that I did 4 years ago that if I read now, I'll be laughing at myself like am I the one that wrote this thing? Why? Because now I've read more. Okay, we are live again. Sorry about that break in transmission. Sorry about that. Please, if you had said something while there was a break in transmission, please help retype it again so I can see it. Are we all there? If we are still together on this, please do well to let me know in the comments. Are we still together on this? Sorry about the break in transmission. Okay. We are almost done with tonight's class. We are actually almost done with tonight's class. So I see I have 2 persons. I can see 2 persons are still with me. Please, if you are still there, do well to let me know in the comments. So as I was saying, the concept of maturation has direct influence on okay, oh, awesome. Okay, what you said about working with white. Okay, Mr. Jolas, I think you can relate. Yeah, you can relate. But the thing is just that about that, the thing is just that you as a black person, if you are working with a white person, you have to prove your worthiness. You have to prove that you know what you are doing. It takes them time. You have to, like, if a white man will do 5% to prove his own worthiness, his or her worthiness, You as a black man, you will do 20% to prove that you are also as qualified, you are as skilled, you are as good as that white guy that does 5%. But that's why we talked about learning. You have to gather like acquisition. I so much love that definition by Asana. Asana, I don't know whether Asana is a lady or a man, but Asana was able to give that good definition about learning that speaks about the acquisition of factual information. You have to, you have to, you have to. The Bible say, show yourself approved, like a workman who knows his work. Let me quickly use adage in Yoruba. He said, this adage in Yoruba says, please, my apologies, I will read the interpretation. He said, téèyàn bá mú oògùn báyìí tó gun ènìyàn bá dáhùn lójú, èèyàn á fi ń gbárí ni. Meaning that if you are 100% confident in yourself, if you are 100% confident in yourself, just like in the case of David and Goliath, you can imagine the case of David, everybody was scared, but David walked up to Goliath because he knows who is living in him. He knows what is capable of doing. So that is just that for us. Let's not turn the class into something else. Let's just go straight and let's call it a wrap for today. So we have okay okay, where are we? Okay, we've spoken about that. So it says the concept of maturation is some direct relationship with learning. Yeah, we said that it has direct relationship with learning. Learning by, as discussed earlier, means a change in function as a result of experience. Yes, definitely. When you become learned now, there are some things you definitely avoid. There are some things you won't do because now you know better. Learning definitely, it means a change. You have that. Definitely, you can't be a graduate and you are still behaving like a secondary school person. It's not possible. Or you cannot be a master or a PhD holder and you're behaving like an undergraduate, or you're behaving like a degree holder. There's this feeling of your self-esteem has been increased. So that's how it is. So learning, so another definition, please take this down. Learning can be defined as a function, like a change in function as a result of experience and practice. I like this definition, so a change in function. You will look at this person, the way the person talks, the way the person behaves, composes himself, and yeah, this person is learned. That's why we call them my learned. That's why lawyers call themselves my learned colleague. You understand? So learning, you can take that definition. Let me take it again. Learning is change in function as a result of experience and practice. Now, in one sense, both learning and maturation depend on change of function. Definitely, you have maturation and learning. Both of them depend on the change of function. You understand? Because if you are mature, you have to show us that you are mature. You understand? Before you can handle things as a mature person, you have to prove that you are mature and learning as well. You have, for somebody to know that you are learned, for somebody to know you have learned something, then you have to prove. There has to be a physical, there has to be a factual, there has to be a physical proof too that this person has learned and this one is a master in this skill. However, while maturation is not noticeable and takes place inside the organism, learning maturation is not that it's reasonable now, it's visible, it's noticeable. I don't know why I say it's not noticeable. Maybe let's just see. And it takes place inside the organism. Learning is entirely based on experience and practice. Also, maturation might not be visible in the sense that it will take you to show, apart from the physical maturation. Maybe they're talking about the conceptual maturation now, whereby you see things where you behave now. It has to do with you have to act first before there can be a drawn conclusion after an observation that this person is okay. The way he behaves, the way he talks is a mature person. So let's just quickly go through this. The concept of maturation leads to the concept of okay, that's phylogenetic function or prehensile skills. sometimes referred to as developmental, okay, tasks. Now such tasks include crawling, okay, now all this process cytogenetic function or prehensile skills. Something, okay, now all this mentioned words have to do with, still has to do with the process of maturation and learning, and such tasks include crawling, crippling, talking, and so on. Definitely changes in behavior over time while the process of maturation is taking place. Remember that they are cross-cultural and therefore common to all race, definitely. More importantly, remember that training is of little importance if maturation is not ready. Definitely. Such tasks as learning to ride a bicycle or to ride a tricycle or bicycle, learning to swim or mix ridges in farm require maturation and training. Definitely, as you get matured, you have to train yourself. And that's why I appreciate the fact that we have something like National Open University. So a lot of persons who are mature, who feel they can't go to conventional universities, can still take this option of learning at their own pace. So definitely that is very true. So while an American child of 4 can ride a bicycle, a child of 8 in a remote African village may not be able, you can imagine, he may not be able to ride to do so. Whereas excuse me, maturation provides the raw timetable for learning. The culture directs or determine what is learned. Okay, so you can imagine. So that's one of the things that I'm saying, that probably what they are exposed to, maybe they feel what they're exposed to is better of what we are exposed to here, and definitely that will have impaired our learning. Maybe that's why we now see it as racism. Maybe we can't actually blame them, but nevertheless, they actually give. However, they should not actually judge a book without it. You should not judge a book, from just reading its cover by its cover. It shouldn't be that way. So, but it's actually somehow true. You can imagine a child at 4 in America riding a bicycle, and a child at 8. It's not as if the child here in Africa at 8, if given the opportunity or if exposed to how to ride a bicycle, will not do it well. No, it's just because the child here at 8 in Africa is not, or does not, is not privileged to be exposed to what a bicycle is and trained on how to use it. But over there, child at 4 is exposed to what a bicycle is and has been trained on how to use it. So it's just the exposure and what you have been trained on. And that has a lot to do in learning and maturation process. So thank you very much everyone for sticking around. So I have our final self exercise. Maturation does denote both a dash in physical equipment of the dash, but more importantly, it is the dash in function and capacity to dash through the use of equipment. We must continue now. So this is going to be our assignment. Self-assessment 2 is going to be our assignment. So let's do well to, if you can't do it, it's not a problem actually, because we actually this is already morning, I think. Yeah, it's already morning. Please, if you can do it, fine. But if you can't do it, I'll provide the answers in our next class today. It's going to be by 8 p.m. Thank you very much for sticking around. I hope we are learning. I hope we are moving at a very powerful pace that we need to, because we have a lot of things to cover. Tutorial for MTH 105, that's conceptual logic, mathematics and logic, is going to be released as soon as possible. Thank you very much, everyone. Let's keep learning. Let's keep putting the hard work in. It's going to pay off definitely. I look forward to seeing you in the next class. Bye. Okay, what about the one? Okay, Mr. Julius, I will respond to it in the WhatsApp group now. As soon as I'm done with it, as soon as we end this live session, I will check it in the classroom, and I will respond to it. Thank you very much, and have a good night rest.